my background.
So
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay. My background's microbiology and immunology. I got a double master's degree and was in research for most of my life, ever since I was 20 years old. Worked on some pharmaceutical products, immunomodulating agents, and then gravitated to go into my own consulting business as a clinical research organization. And we did research with mostly dietary supplements. I got out of the pharmaceutical field because I tended to like the dietary supplements better than the pharmaceuticals. So did that, and also did research on devices, medical devices, and nutritional supplements. I have about 64 publications, and I gravitated to doing work with hydrogen. And I want to tell you a story of how I got so enamored, excited, and extraordinarily impressed with hydrogen over the last 8 years. You know, all my life I worked on all kinds of research projects, as I mentioned, but about 8 years ago, a company hired me, subcontracted my company, Sierra Productions, to do research on hydrogenated water. And before that, they asked us to do a review article. So my colleagues and I did a review article on hydrogen, about 300 studies, review article, and produced the publications. I'll show you the results, you know, what we found later. But this is the reason why I got so impressed and enamored with hydrogen. I thought this was too good to be true. I couldn't believe it until year after year, I saw more and more studies. Now, after 2016, from 300 that we reviewed to over 2,000 publications in over 170 degrees medical conditions. Now, I know this is for many of you who do not know about this molecular hydrogen. This might seem incredibly amazing, because usually the pharmaceutical model is one molecule versus one drug versus one disease, one molecule versus one disease. Well, this has 170 different disease conditions with one nutrient, natural supplement. So I want to start with what is hydrogen? It's actually two hydrogen molecules, which are the simplest molecule on the periodic table. When you combine them, you get molecular hydrogen, or H2. It's a gas. It's tasteless, colorless, odorless, and extraordinarily non-toxic. It's a powerful antioxidant, but not too powerful. I'll explain why a little bit later. And it can reduce or neutralize dangerous antioxidant. In fact, the most dangerous, the hydroxyl ion, and others. So it's selective. It's a selective antioxidant. And here are some of the advantages of molecular hydrogen, H2. In high concentrations, it's extraordinarily well tolerated, almost zero. There's no toxicity in all the studies that we've reviewed, or in any animal studies, preclinical and clinical. Since it's so small, it can diffuse across the cell membrane, into the nucleus, into the actual DNA, and even into mitochondria, which is outside of the nucleus, of course, but it's the only known molecule that can do that. It doesn't influence any normal physiological activity. It doesn't disturb the normal metabolic functions. It works, as I mentioned, antioxidant, anti-allergy, anti-inflammatory. It's a premier cell signature. That's one of its secrets. It can actually talk to cells and makes cells work better. And it's also a gene regulator. It has incredibly wide variety of therapeutic benefits, as I previously mentioned. Okay, so we know that it really works within cells and cell signals and instructs cells to do the things in the best way homeostatic processes. I mean, we all know cells make up tissues, and tissues make up organs make up systems, and systems make up the entire body. So everything stems from the basic unit of life, the cell. So H2 reduces the harmful oxidants and free radicals, decreases oxidative stress, helps control inflammation. It's a wower for inflammation. It does a phenomenal number on controlling inflammation, reducing it beyond my wildest imagination. Increases healing of wounds and skin appearance. Of course, regulates genes, improves digestion, has nerve protective effects, and improves memory and nerve function. And we'll get into a little bit more of that later, but here's the original research article that my colleagues and I back in 2016 wrote. We published in the International Journal for Clinical Medicine. And if you note, the principal author, Dr. Garth Nicholson, is a Nobel Prize nominee. And here are some of my other colleagues and myself. And Shigeo Ota is coined the father of hydrogen. He's the one who did the seminal research on hydrogen in Nature Medicine in 2007. And that was the springboard for all of the following research that is just growing astronomically. And here's what we discussed in our review article. If we go around the clock, we discussed the research that was done on obesity, dialysis, CVD, radiation, neurodegeneratives, cancer, infections, metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes, skin problems, neuromuscular diseases, ulcers, and inflammatory processes. So those are all covered in that review article in 2016. Now, there are different ways that you can, different routes of administration. One is given intravenously through IV infused saline. And then it also, if you look at up here, it can be placed in eye drops, inhalation devices. These are fairly expensive, but they do produce hydrogen gas. You can drink it through hydrogen-rich water, and you can bathe in it. So those are the various routes of administration. So it works internally and topically. Now I'm going to go over very briefly the history of hydrogen. It's kind of interesting as far as it's progressed through time. But back in 1776, Dr. Cavendish identified H2 gas in air and produced water when it burned. They found that when you light hydrogen gas, it actually burned, and the byproduct was water. Lavoisier in 1783 named hydrogen hydro, water, and gene, creating forming, so hydrogen water forming. It's a good name. In 1888, Dr. Sen discovered hydrogen in the human intestine. Now, hydrogen is made by intestinal flora, and it reaches a certain level, but it's not enough. I mean, you get quite a bit of benefit. However, all the research is done on increasing the amounts of hydrogen taken in those various routes that I mentioned. in 1943, in the deep sea diving hard hats, they used combinations of hydrogen and oxygen in deep sea divers, and it worked very, very well, but extraordinarily high concentration. It was called helio, hyalureliox, 98% air and 2%, 90% hydrogen and 2% air. And the U.S. Navy was responsible for that. And here's that seminal article in 2007 by Dr. Odo, the father of medicine, shown to be a selective antioxidant. And by selective, we mean it only goes after the worst free radicals known to the body, known to science, the hydroxyl radical, paranitrate, nitrate, and some others. But it goes after them first and leaves some good antioxidants that are made by the process of making energy by mitochondria, leaves those guys alone. So it's a really kind of a smart, unbelievably very selective molecule. And in 2013, a good friend of mine, Dr. Tyler Barron, formed the Molecular Hydrogen Foundation, and it's an educational site, a foundational nonprofit organization that has a lot of good information, educational information and research on molecular hydrogen. And in 2014, the FDA approved it on its GRAS list. So that was a phenomenal achievement, even though it's very natural and safe. The FDA finally recognized it. Took them all the way until 2014 to put it on the FDA GRAS list. And in 2016, this is really interesting. There are inhalation devices. They're pretty complicated devices that generate hydrogen gas, and they're used in hospitals for many different serious cardiovascular diseases. And they're approved in Japan, China, and Korea. And I think we're all familiar with oxidative damage, oxidative stress, and formed by a number of pollution, high carbohydrates and sugar, injuries, alcohol in excess, stress, medications, especially pharmaceuticals, infections, and over-exercise. Interesting. Now, in my younger days, I did some time-lapse microcinematography, time-lapse through a microscope, use this type of equipment, where here you see an inverted phase contrast microscope, and we grew human living cells and photographed with a movie camera the action that happened over many days and even weeks. And I want to show you this really interesting time-lapse microphotography of human cells that I added a free radical, cyclophosphamide, which is an anti-cancer and anti-metabolite. And you'll see when I click this, you'll see the results of these cells. Now here they look normal. There are different shapes in that little round circle, and each one of these are the nuclei. So you see the nuclei, the cytoplasm. Here's one with two nuclei, and in those are nucleoli. So here I'm going to run this, and in about a 3-day period, you can watch the destruction. Here you see these cells boiling and bubbling. That's cytotoxicity. That's the free radical damaging those cells. You see them rounding up here and here. they round up and explode or lyse, and their guts come out. Total destruction by the free radicals. Here, I think this one up here is going to explode. There it is. This one exploded. This one did too. So there's cell lysis. So now you see the entire cell monolayer being destroyed by that toxic free radical. And that's pretty much, how oxidative stress works and free radicals, what they do. Now, we've done some original research with my colleagues and I on hydrogen water, and I want to briefly go through our findings, and you will see some of the interesting mechanisms of actions that we uncovered. Hydrogenated water is the molecule that we use, hydrogen within water, and this was published in the American Journal for Food and Nutrition. And myself and my colleagues published this, and had quite a bit of reviews. So we first looked at the antioxidant action of H2, and we wanted to confirm how it works within cells. And that video that you saw, we identified that when we added the peroxyl nitrate radical in a cell culture without, this is the control, without any hydrogen, we saw cell destruction. The cells, decreased and died, just like you saw in the video. Now, when we added the free radical plus hydrogen in water, the hydrogen water, we found that the hydrogen protected the cells against the cell damage, showing a true antioxidant activity. And this was verified over and over again, but we wanted to make sure that this formula water that we studied did the same thing as what was reported in past clinical research, double validated, so to speak. And we also looked at glutamate toxicity. Well, glutamate is a very powerful excitotoxin, and it causes depressions, mood changes, headaches, dizziness, loss of balance, confusion, panic attacks, and rage. I had a girlfriend that had these symptoms at one time. So DNA damage was triggered by pathogenically high levels of glutamate receptors in neurons, in brain cells. And here's the data that we found. If you look at the concentration on the x-axis of hydrogen, you see increasing concentrations, and this is the plotted value of hydrogen, and you see a reduction in glutamate within brain cells. And this was statistically significant to the P01 level. And another series of experiments that we did, published in this journal, we found that we looked at hydrogen water on intracellular biomarkers. And we looked at glucose update. Here's the model for glucose. It's called the CACO2 model. And this is a cellular model. And we have three chambers, actually two chambers, with divided by intestinal cells, as you see in the middle here. And the first chamber, the chamber below, we added glucose. And we assessed the amount of glucose that permeated or was transmitted through the intestinal cells, mimicking much like what happens in the excuse me. Much like what happens in the bloodstream. Okay, so we saw a large amount of glucose going through the intestinal cells, and then when we added the hydrogen, H2 plus the glucose, same amount of glucose, we observed that there's much less, very much reduced glucose, which was a factor or a mechanism of hydrogen gas. And here you see the hydrogen concentration, and this is a positive control, but you can see there in each of these concentrations, we saw some pretty good influence of hydrogen permeability. Yeah. Now we looked at hydrogen water effects on insulin receptors, and on the sites of cells there are these insulin receptors, and they control glucose. When we added the hydrogenized water, we showed that these became activated, showing a more control of glucose in the bloodstream. So two ways: one through permeability through the intestinal wall, and two, the activating and increasing the function of insulin receptor sites. And here's the data here. You can see increasing concentrations of hydrogen, and this is the positive control insulin. And you can see a dose-dependent trend of showing good hydrogen activity with increasing concentrations, and showing I'm sorry, I'm getting, my phone is stuck. So we showed a good activity of the receptor site activation. SIRT1 is an anti-aging biomarker, and it's indicated in a lot of these different organs and tissues, having a number of effects. The higher the concentration of SIRT1, the younger the cells. It's definitely a prominent age biomarker. And we looked at, again, the concentration of hydrogen and the positive control, and we showed again the SIRT1 increase with higher concentrations of hydrogen water. We looked at the water effects, hydrogenized water, on anti-aging associated telomerase. Now, telomerase is the protective enzyme that protects the length of telomeres. The longer the telomeres on the end of chromosomes, the younger the cells. Here you see a cell and a chromosome blown up. And of course, the telomeres keep the DNA from leaking out. So we want to keep those telomeres long. And telomerase acts on and stabilizes, repairs the telomeres. So you can see the young chromosome here with long telomeres, and the older one with short telomeres. Cute little cartoon. And then we saw in our research the effects of telomerase activity on human cells. And we noticed at this concentration, we saw 149% increase in telomerase concentration. I want to tell you a story about Scott Kelly. Scott Kelly, the man on the right, was sent up into outer space. And by the way, this is his twin brother. I forgot his name, but he's other Mr. Kelly. So Scott was sent up in the International Space Station with a Russian guy, and they spent a full year doing research in space within that International Space Station. Well, of course, they loved what they do, so they had a good time. They had very little stress because they enjoyed what they did, and they were not, confronted with the social things of down on Earth. They had great food. They breathed very healthy, good air. They probably had some hydrogen in it, and they had an excellent diet. So when Scott came back down to Earth, they studied him very carefully, and they compared his blood values with his brother's, the identical twin. And the theory is they should be the same. However, Scott's telomeres were much, much longer than his brother's. Interesting find. And of course, there's a lot of other things too. He looked a little bit younger visually, and he grew a little bit taller. I think 3/4 of an inch taller. So interesting results. But the main thing is his telomeres were much longer than his brothers, identical twin. And here's one of my heroes, Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn. She discovered telomeres and telomerase and got the Nobel Prize for that research. Interesting. And we looked at this glutathione, which is the master super antioxidant made by the cells of the body. It protects the brain. It improves mental focus, clarity, stress, increases energy, improves performance and recovery, and slows the aging process. It's one fantastic antioxidant. We looked at that in particular to see what effects hydrogen had on glutathione. Well, as we age, we could see that the glutathione levels decrease as the oxidative stress increases. So literally at the age of 58, close to 60, that's the key point where it just goes up. The oxidative stress level goes up dramatically, and glutathione goes way down to almost non-existent. So it's a very important antioxidant. We want to keep that level up as long as we possibly can. So here's this GSH is glutathione. That's the acronym for that. And you can see a very nice dose response again with high increasing levels of glutathione with hydrogenized water. The NRF2 is an interesting pathway, and it's a great messenger pathway that protects against injuries and inflammation. A phenomenal interaction with inflammation by controlling it and having a great value to that. We found that, historically, NRF2 activates the survival enzymes. It improves cellular function, removes, it's a detoxifier. It lowers the aging, slows down the clock of aging. It helps with autophagy, eliminating destroyed cells, and protects against cellular stress. So it's a very important pathway. So in our research on hydrogen, we found that, again, a dose-dependent response. The higher the dose, the more normalized the NRF2 pathway was. So it created an enhancement of that NRF2. So in summary, for the research that we did and published, my colleagues and I, we found the antioxidant capability, protecting cells from oxidative stress, much like what you saw in that video. Number two, we looked at the reduction of glucose via the permeability through the intestinal wall and the activation of insulin receptor sites. And we looked at the anti-aging action with the SIRT1 and telomerase. We also looked at neuroprotection against glutamate toxicity, and again, increasing the antioxidant in brain cells of the very powerful glutathione antioxidant. And we saw the master regulator NRF2 signaling was promoted or enhanced. Now I want to go over summary of some other H2 studies. And these are pretty amazing because, again, everything here is backed by peer-reviewed, published clinical and preclinical studies. So with bone and joint pain, H2 was able to boost and repair the cell process of injured bones. It supports health, joints, and nerves around the bone area. Improves range of motion. And there are more, but these are the key discoveries that were made with bone and joint health. And as I mentioned, the cardiovascular support, there are hospitals, and quite a few now and growing, in Korea, Japan, and China, using inhalation devices. And a lot of these, plus drinking water, prevents blood vessel damage, improves the heart function, improves circulation, reduces cardiovascular infarct in rats, prevents heart failure in rodents, increases rate of recovery after heart failure. That was mostly studied in rodents, but more studies are being done, and newer studies in humans with really interesting results. Preserves grafts during organ transplantation, especially renal transplants, and reduces morbidity during and after stroke. So there's quite a bit of cardiovascular benefits with the use of both inhalation and drinking hydrogen water. In human studies, with diabetes and prediabetes, metabolic syndrome, oxidative stress shown in the kidneys, energy metabolism was increased, total cholesterol was normalized or reduced significantly, as well as LDL reduction. Insulin resistance was improved, and so was muscle glucose. In animals with radiation, this is interesting. There was a lot of work done with radiation animals to skin, intestine, lung, heart, all these different organs, showing some protective effects. And in humans, reducing the side effects of radiation and protective effect on the damage caused by radiation on skin, ulcers and lesions on the skin. And the quality of life was also improved in a number of different experiences with radiation and chemotherapy also. Now, with immunity, there's a terrific anti-inflammatory effect with hydrogen. Again, it regulates and signal cells, making them work better, improves the mitochondrial function. Remember, it leaves the good free radicals produced by the mitochondria, leaves them alone, and only goes after the most invasive and destructive free radicals, especially the OH radical. And it kind of brings the body, balances or promotes it to become in a homeostasis position. Now, bathing in H2 water, that's one of the ways of administration, by putting hydrogen gas in bathtubs or bathing devices, putting feet into pans that have hydrogen water. It stimulates in the face, decreases wrinkles and stimulated collagen production. This is shown with biomarkers, and again reduces oxidative stress, inflammation, and reduces damaging effects of UV light. I want to show you this. This is plaque psoriasis. Now, if you look at this, let's take the upper A across the top of the screen. This was a gentleman who had plaque psoriasis. He had a little on his chest, and this was 8 weeks after treatment with hydrogen and drinking water. And here's his back before treatment and his back 8 weeks later. So you can see quite a significant reduction in this plaque psoriasis. Another case, case 2 across the board, a little more severe case. The gentleman's abdomen was, had some very, and these are painful, itchy plaque psoriasis according to this research publication. And you can see the results after 8 weeks therapy, quite a bit of clearing there and here versus this before versus after. And again, on the back too, this is the baseline and the treatment after 8 weeks. And in case 3, you can see another plaque psoriasis case where this gentleman had quite a few lesions. And here's after 8 weeks on his back, before and 8 weeks later. So quite a bit of good responses. And this was done in quite a few experiments, as well as the damage caused by radiation. In exercise, male soccer players were given H2 water and for 1 week, and they showed that lactic acid was reduced, their muscle function was increased, their peak muscle torque was not affected, but they did get a very good post-exercise recovery. They recovered very well after very hard games. In healthy people, really more normal people that have no severe chronic illnesses, fatigue was reduced, infection rate were lower, or the severity of infections were lessened. Weight is managed, a significant reduction in weight over time. The aging effect, less aging occurred. Pain and inflammation was decreased. Hydrogen water was able to heal burns and bruises faster, recovery time. Skin appearance was improved. Heart function was improved. Flexibility, mental function, and quality of life. So these were observed in healthy populations. And safety, it's used for over 20 some years in people without any adverse effects. It's almost impossible to see any side effects or any untoward effects when you drink it, and no reported side effects that we could find in all the literature and animals and in humans and animals that we read, and it's still ongoing today with the ongoing research. No severe side effects. Now, I was so enamored by the studies and the research that I did and others that I wrote a book. This is for lay people. It's called Live Healthier, Better, and Longer with Hydrogen H2. And it's a simple, easy to read book. Most of us can read it within an hour and a half. It's kind of fun. It has cartoon images that complement the text. There's some stories that I tell on this. And it's literally the hydrogen character that helps the cells of the body work better. And that's all kinds of cells in a lot of different organs that I talked about, how they communicate and signal each other, mainly hydrogen signaling cells. And if you look at all of these organs and tissues, these are all covered in my book. So it's almost every organ of the body and tissue. So again, as I mentioned before, it gets through every organ, every cell, every system of the body. And that's it. This is my end of the presentation. That's my book. And if you want more information, it's h2improveshealth.com. You're welcome to get more information, or if you're inclined to order it, special discounts for healthcare professionals. So let you know, maybe you might enjoy it, or at least share it with your patients. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. A couple of questions in the chat. What kind of contraindications, and what about in autoimmune situations?
Well, with many other indications, especially there are some with autoimmune conditions. The only contraindication is perhaps taking too much. But in the studies, if you go by the recommended dosing of either drinking it or inhaling it, there was no adverse, untoward, or severe side effects, zero. So in many other disease conditions that were studied, also no contraindications. The contraindications: no drug-nutrient interactions and no drug-drug nutrient interactions. In fact, in some studies with cancer patients, it was the hydrogen was able to help promote the healing effect of chemotherapeutic agents. They work synergistically, showing better responses with hydrogen in addition to the chemotherapy.
Okay. How are different ways you can get it?
There are many sites online, but you have to be careful. Let's go through some that I know of. One is the easiest is taking hydrogen water, drinking it through these already administered packages or even cans that contain hydrogen at a therapeutic dose. Remember, you have to drink it fairly fast because it dissipates very rapidly. So drinking is one, and you can get it through online sites, and most of them are the ones that are not don't have the proper hydrogen amounts are now either off the market, or you just check into the background and you'll see. So the hydrogen water, again, it's already pre-made in pouches or cans. There's also hydrogen tablets, which you can drop into a glass of water, 16-ounce glass of water, and they're made with minerals that when they contact the water, especially magnesium and some others, they effervesce like Alka-Seltzer. They produce gas bubbles of hydrogen and increase the concentration or infuse the hydrogen in the water. You drink that pretty quickly, and you get a good dose of hydrogen as you drink the water. Another way is hydrogen inhalation devices. And these are either electrolytic devices through electrolysis or PEMs, membranes. And there's quite a few different ones, different levels, but they all produce a good concentration. But you have to make sure they have the correct flow rate. And this can be, shown online. There's different different flow rates, and but most of the good ones, if you look up the main ones that have the biggest notoriety and sales, those are the good ones. But they're thousands of dollars. To me, drinking it is much cheaper. Now you can get it IV, but you need to go to a clinic or a hospital in order to get IV administration, and that's not really well situated in the U.S. However, other countries do this routinely, and as I mentioned, approved in hospitals in Japan, China, and Korea. There's quite a few. There's dozens and dozens of them. And the last way is to bathe it. Well, not the last way, but another way is to bathe in it, where you can get a hydrogen infusion device, a machine that will pump or infuse hydrogen in bath water. And you follow the instructions and you immerse your entire body in a bath. Or if you have like a ubiquitous ulcers on the foot or hands or chest, you can go into a container of water, like a pan of water, and immerse your hands and feet in there. And I've seen some very dramatic effects. I have quite a few friends that are using hydrogen in this way to reduce ulceration, skin lesions, rashes, and even swelling.
Mhm.
And then lastly, there are eye drops too. There are hydrogen-loaded eye drops which you can place in your eye for different conditions, and it helps with eye health. So, and then there's also one other is injection, and I don't recommend that. It's done either intraperitoneally or subcutaneously. I think the easiest way is to drink it, and probably the least expensive.
And how expensive is it?
It ranges. The hydrogen pouches are like $3.50 each. You drink one pouch a day, or if you have a severe chronic illness, then it's, you can go up to 3 or 4. I myself, my uh, uh, senior citizen, as a senior citizen, I drink 2 to 3 of those a day. That's my personal dosing, but I'm in fairly good condition except for some aches and pains and fatigue every once in a while. So that's what I do. I also tried the hydrogen tablets. They're very good, and the price ranges anywhere from $50 to $80 for a month's supply.
Mhm.
And the machines, the inhalation devices or the infusion devices, are anywhere from $2,000 to $20,000. There's all different types. The medical devices that are used in hospitals are 20 plus. And let's see,
What is it?
that's about it. Those are the most common ways of getting the administration of hydrogen and the pricing.
Okay. Dr. Siegel, that she's our integrative veterinarian. I have used hydrogen water for 7 years. I have units at home in the office. I have live blood studies showing expansion of the 4th phase of water and resolving rouleau. My preference in machines that use wet technology, reaction with magnesium versus electrolysis. So,
Yes,
any
great.
comment?
Oh, congratulations, Dr. Siegel. That's music to my ears.
Yeah.
Do you do the microscopy, the live cell microscopy yourself?
I do. I do light field microscopy.
Yes, great. Yeah, I've done some of that too. I didn't test with hydrogen, but others. I love that type of work.
Oh, it was amazing. We would give it to either a person or an animal. We'd do the give them a
Yes.
drink and test within 10 minutes. And you can't even begin to imagine the difference in the red blood cells.
Well, 10 minutes after they drink the hydrogen water.
Yeah, just 10 minutes.
In both animals and humans.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Wow. You may want to think of publishing that work.
The FDA would be so happy with that, wouldn't it? I think I'll stay under the radar.
Okay. Understood.
But I
Understood.
share within my own family here.
Yeah.
Where can the IV be sourced?
All that I know that does it routinely and very well is mainly Japan, China, and Korea.
Mhm.
And it's approved for hospital use in those countries. And there are external clinics, private clinics that do that. But I'm not sure. I really don't know of any place in the United States that does IV administration of hydrogen.
About, is there any place to get the machines for the baths?
Oh, yes, I thought you asked about IV.
I did. I asked that first.
Oh, okay, yeah, yes, there are, and you can Google and evaluate them for yourself. I do not represent any company or don't sell anything directly, and my recommendation is to Google, molecular hydrogen and inhalation devices, and you will see probably the top 4 or 5 companies that are on top of the Google search. They're probably the best in my knowledge. I know them all. I read about what they do. I read about their site, and I've even seen certifications. And you might want to look at that. The devices that are certified by third-party investigators that look into the safety and the flow rate and the concentration of the hydrogen that comes out of the machine. Again, there are some that infuse hydrogen in water, and some are inhalation, and some are both. But if you want both, those are the highest priced.
Dr. Fitzpatrick's asking, where should she find the eye protocol?
The eye protocol, can I suggest one thing? If you go on Google Scholar, if you can't find it, then please send me your email address and I'll send you the articles. But it's very easy. Go on Google Scholar and type in molecular hydrogen and treatment for eye conditions, molecular hydrogen, and you'll see about maybe 7 or 8 to 10 studies, published studies, and they have different levels of administration of hydrogen loaded eye drops. And look at the studies that you're interested in and choose the best dose. But you can do it yourself if you have a millipore filter, a bacterial filter, by putting in hydrogen water and then putting it in a sterile eyedropper, and then adding the eye drops yourself in hydrogenized water. But I would highly recommend looking at the publications. You'll be surprised about all macular degeneration and all kinds of conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Google Scholar, Google hydrogen treatment for eye conditions.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions in the chat. Have a little summary for us there, Bob?
Yeah, I want to again reinforce my enthusiasm for doing this, getting into this in the last 8 years, doing the research and writing my book. And it was mainly because of, just think about it, 2,000 studies in 170 conditions. I mean, what medication, what drug, what antioxidant, what dietary supplement, what antioxidant can do all that? Name one. I can't. And I was in pharmaceutical research, nutrient research, dietary supplement research, and device research. I can't think of any that even comes close to what hydrogen can do. And
I don't know about the hydrogen you do, but I got two that are fairly diverse just off the top of my head. So
okay, I'd like to know.
Methylene blue is one, and low dose naltrexone is another.
Methylene blue, the dye?
The dye, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay.
And I'm not familiar with the other one too, but if would each of those come close to what hydrogen does, as you saw in my
Probably
presentation?
not as diverse as you've covered, but they do both have the pretty broad spectrum coverage of
Oh, great. Do they have hundreds or thousands of publications?
Actually, they do, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, great. Oh, that's new. I'm going to look into those. Okay, thank you.
And the other thing that came to mind with as maybe as a combination is especially with like wound care and whatnot. What about No, here we go. Here's my old timers disease. The oxygen tank. What is it?
Hyperbaric oxygen.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, there were studies with hyperbaric and hydrogen showing very good results with the combination
Mhm.
compared to just hyperbaric alone. And I know doctors that are utilizing that in actually Irvine, California. Center for New Medicine is doing that and
Mhm.
getting some really good results.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, Doc, what about the water pitchers, the hydrogen, like the Purify? They're pretty highly rated. People study them and actually test them. $231 because it's Prime Deal Day, by the way. It's a hydrogen water pitcher, rich hydrogen water generator, electrolysis jug with SPE and PEM concentrator technology, balanced purified water, pH levels, and filtered with calcium sulfite. And they're showing them for $232. Have you heard?
What are the ppms that are produced by that pitcher?
1,500.
1,500 ppms or ppm, parts per billion. I think it's parts per billion, correct?
1,500 milliliters.
No, I meant the parts per million of hydrogen after it generates the hydrogen. What's the final concentration?
Right. Okay, hydrogen concentration is 700 parts ppb to 900 ppb.
Okay, that's parts per billion. So that means it's 0.7 parts per million, which is on the lower end of a therapeutic dose, but it still may provide benefit. And it's a pretty good price, but I would spend a little bit more and go with a device that produces higher ppms or ppbs. And a good dose would be about 1.3 to 1.8. And I think that's maybe some of the highest concentration you can get in a machine generated hydrogen, which is good. But 0.7 or 0.8 ppms might be on the low side. However, the minimum therapeutic dose in the scientific literature was 0.8. So it's still good.
Okay, it looks like I had it wrong. Actually, the hydrogen concentration for the strong infusion is 1,300 ppb. So they do go to 1,300. Standard infusion of pure hydrogen into the drinking water, I guess if you wanted to save money, was 7 to 9.
Okay, good. So the 1,300 is good. That's 1.3 ppms. So that's great. That's excellent. I think that would be definitely worth the price.
Right.
Look, seems like it would be. How long does it take to generate that hydrogen to that concentration? The 1.3 1,300 ppms.
They don't say that.
Okay, because some of those might take 20 minutes or more.
Got you.
So that's a potential downside, but no big deal. You can just wait 20 minutes and drink.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
So one of my colleagues and students says, how come I haven't asked you yet about what the effects are of hydrogen on hormone levels?
There are, I'm having a senior moment too. There's so many studies. I know there are hormone studies and biomarkers on hormones. I'm trying to remember them. And again, you can go on to Google Scholar and type in molecular hydrogen and hormone responses.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then they'll get you that'll get you the publications. But offhand, I just cannot remember the studies with specific hormones. I should know this, and I will definitely brush up. I don't want to be caught like this again.
Okay, there you go. You know, we trip you up. Okay. Joel writes, they have purified hydrogen water pitcher machines at Amazon. Okay.
Yes. So that's a source. I mean, there's quite a few sources. You may want to just look at the websites and see for yourself how they're how they how they make it is one, but I would look for certifications. Look at the ones that have, put their money where their mouth is and pay for their product to be certified by independent research laboratories.
Okay. Okay. Can you repeat again you said go Google the website. Which one is it again?
Google Scholar.
All right.
You may also find it on PubMed, but Google Scholar sometimes is deeper. You get more. It gets a lot of the smaller studies. It finds smaller studies, and most of the hydrogen studies are done on small populations. That's one of the criticisms. However, there's so many, and you see the same effects over and over and over again, repeated. It's just almost too good to be true, as far as I'm concerned. It works so well, and in both animals and man and plants too.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to put it in chat for everybody again. Could you just repeat it again? What's the website or the study that?
Google Scholar.
Right, got that.
And you type in molecular hydrogen and whatever else you want, bone health, bone conditions, heart conditions, digestive, name a condition, type in hydrogen, molecular hydrogen and blank, fill in the blank. And you'll see a plethora of publications. Some have dozens of studies and some have quite a bit, but they're very significant and well done.
Okay, we're going to have Dr. Kylie Smith look up molecular hydrogen and hormone alterations and report back to us next week. So
okay, you can also do one other thing too, Bill, in your chat in your wherever you're going to post this. Look at the Molecular Hydrogen Institute website, Molecular Hydrogen Institute.org.
I'm assuming that's all one word.
Yes, Molecular Hydrogen Institute.
All small letters, I guess.
I think so. And or you could just do the 3 words and you'll see the site. It's Dr. Tyler LeBaron set that up, and he has quite a few very well-known hydrogen experts that work with him for getting the educational information. And he also posts the entire articles of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of studies, so you can read for yourself all the conditions, many of the conditions. I don't think it's up to date because all these studies are being done. I think in the last month there's like 10 new studies.
Are any of those links in your book? I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, they're in the book.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I'd like to say one thing to Bob. And he does have a book available in the Spanish language. And, if you have someone that doesn't, understand English that well and they speak Spanish, it's an excellent book to have on hand.
Yeah, sorry, I skipped over that, Shel. I didn't mean.
I know, but I mean, I'm not going to give a plug to the excellent translator, but just that Bob has it available.
I heard many positive acclimates about how well the book was translated into Spanish by Clara Stein.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right. Very well done. Okay. Anybody else? John, you got anything for us?
Everything is excellent here and appreciate the good talk.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm going to be in touch because I heard you say earlier you did research, and I'm picking everybody's brain that does research.
Yeah, I'll be glad to talk to you. If you want, you can call me too. Here's my cell phone number. I'll be glad to talk to you anytime.
Excellent. I'll go through Bill and we'll communicate, trying to do some good here.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bob, I got another question here. What do you think of deuterium depleted water?
I don't know enough about it to really respond to that very well. And so I'll reserve my judgment, although I did not get good responses from other researchers that talked about it. So I'm going to stay away from that. I just don't know enough about it to give you a personal opinion.
Okay.
Or knowledgeable opinion.
All right. I think you answered this already, but did you endorse a specific company for the ones that convert water and also good H2 tablets?
I didn't endorse any company.
Right.
I just recommended that you Google hydrogen devices, molecular hydrogen devices, molecular hydrogen tablets, and molecular hydrogen water, and you'll get all the companies that have various products. And again, some of those companies have been certified and went through the testing and are very good.
Mhm. Okay, great. Okay. Okay, again, I'm at the bottom of my questions here. I got to thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lots of kudos here from our crowd.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to know the feedback if possible. Any way you can let me know what, if there's a scoring system or.
Well, we don't really have a scoring system, but
Oh, okay.
so
Okay.
But we'll be knocking on your door.
yeah, usually we like fry your computer if we don't like you. So we have
Okay. That's great. That's funny.
sort of a reverse snap, reverse zapper. So
Yeah, that's the punishment for not doing well.
or that actually might be the reward, and then you go out and live in the real world instead of sitting in front of a computer all day long, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a great presentation, and I love the fact that you were not branded. So there wasn't any bias. You really had a lot of science behind what you were talking about, and I really appreciate that. And I know a lot of companies out there. So if anybody is interested, I'll tell you where not to go and then give you some places to go research that are certified, have, the third party review, and I have a lot of confidence in. So I'm happy to share if anybody's interested. I hate for you to make an expensive mistake.
Terrific. How could I get in touch with you?
Oh, just, it's in the chat, but my email is msiegeldvm@gmail.com. I don't know how to get back to the general chat because I'm kind of in this.
Go to the top and go to everyone. msiegeldvm.
@gmail.com. I don't see an everyone thing.
I think I have it there for you.
Okay, thanks.
So. Okay, and I have it, we have it just in case, so in case I didn't get that right. So,
Great to be back, everybody.
okay, so you were missed.
Thank you.
That means we're gonna have to have you on for another chat with us.
Oh, you know what I'd like to do for you guys? We're getting ready to launch. It's a fascia decompression course that I did with Deanna Hansen.
Mhm.
It launches at the end of this month, and she said she would love to do a co-presentation with me for you guys.
Okay,
Truly miraculous. And she does it on people. I do it on animals.
okay. How's August 8th sound?
I will check with her. How's
Okay.
that?
You thought I was gonna let you go on that one.
No, I love it. August 8th works for me. I'll check with her and let you know.
Okay.
Texting her. now.
One thing, Bill, I'm sorry, I'm not able to see the chat.
Should
I
be
see-
down at the bottom there. There's a whole.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I got it.
Okay.
Okay. Terrific. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. So.
Hey, I appreciate everybody that's on here. We got a bunch of diehards
Yeah.
and we're doing some good work. So thanks to Bill and Bob Settineri and all you other good guys. Joel, I know you're kicking ass. So thank you, everybody, including Marlene, who's been helping us out. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so next week, Stephen Hartman's going to be giving us an update on his work with the prostate people from Europe. And I think he's involved in another project. So that's next.
Am I doing that next week? No, next week I had something different planned.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You know what? I can't. I'm looking for it here. Whatever you had planned is fine.
Well, yeah, I had something very fun planned, something not such a traditional lecture, but more dynamic. So what we're going to be talking about is viral treatment post-pandemic, what we've learned. And it's going to be, I really want to learn what kind of brainstorm what everyone else has been using in the pandemic, what has worked, what hasn't worked. And we're going to put it in a list, and we're going to put it on the internet so that other people can learn from what we're doing.
You really want them after me, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't have enough Soros as it is. You know what Soros is?
I do.
Anybody out there know what Soros is?
Absolutely.
Right? Have I told you what's happened in the last 3 weeks here at my
What?
place? Huh? Well,
What'd they do?
all of my communications except my phone was shut down because someone decided I was a marijuana dispensary. Yeah, we'll try to get it undone. And then the forces of evil are out there, and my certified courses have been decertified with no explanation. So, and
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
I think the AMA's come after him now, not just the AOA.
yeah. So
AMA, the one that Halassa loves so much.
yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
They're
So
scum.
really-
They're a terrorist
really-
organization.
really want to put the final nail in my coffin, don't you?
Yes, they're terrorists. Agreed.
And
Yeah.
send my jacket back. So when we were in Florida at the end of April, I left my jacket in Steve's car. Remember that interview that we did? That
Yeah.
Send my
Here,
jacket.
send me your address. I got a box. I got the jacket. I got a box. I'm ready. Just send me your address. I'll ship it off tomorrow.
I told you I'd pay you for it.
Yeah, all right. I just need your address.
Is it
That's it.
the big green one?
You know, it's like a gray blazer. It's got a hole in the shoulder. I didn't do it.
No,
He wears the biggest green jacket you've ever seen in your life during the winter. It's absolutely just it's amazing.
well, you know, you live in Reno long enough, you end up with thyroid disease. So I'm cold all the time. I moved 2,500 miles to live to be cold. I thought I was going to someplace warm. You know, you go to Nevada. I made a wrong turn.
Oh, it's a desert.
Yeah,
It's cold as heck.
yeah, it's the wrong part of the desert.
-21, -22 sometimes here. Did you know?
Wow.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Count me out.
It's great. Anyway, so next week, Steve, whatever you're going to do that's fun, let's do something fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And what do you stringing tennis rackets behind you there tonight?
No, that's my tennis partner, Artyom. He's stringing my rackets for me.
Yeah. All right, great. All right, anybody else have any comments or questions? And John, how's the school coming along?
Everything is like excellent.
Great.
And we've been sticking together here for a few years, so it's kind of wonderful. We need to put on an East Coast conference, or if anybody has any ideas, email me.
Oh, yeah, we did I forgot, we did a hands-on at my office this week. We had 5 people coming. We had a really good time. We did testosterone pellet implant. Everybody got to do it, which was the thing. So we did testosterone pellet implants. We did Botox treatments. We did dermal fillers. I did a PDO thread lift, and they just watched that. None of them had seen it before. So, you know, it's see one, do one, teach one. So they're ready to do one. So we'll arrange another one of those if anybody's interested in hands-on, if you want to learn how to do it, not just the kind of the theory. So we have to meet in person for that. So I'm sure, John, you'll have accommodations for us, right?
Hopefully.
Okay. All right. So Bob, thank you so much again.
You're welcome.
And thank you for your time and your scholarship and your expertise.
Oh.
And we'll send you our participant list along the way here as soon as.
Fantastic.
And
Fantastic.
everything, this will be on YouTube. Well, actually, it goes on our website, and a lot of them are ending up on YouTube, and it's under my name. And I apparently have enough. I'm getting a lot of subscribers, which I'm not even advertising or anything. And I have enough. If anybody knows how to do it, I apparently
That's
have enough
good.
subscribers.
You have a following. You have a following.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to monetize it. And so if
Oh, no, yeah.
anybody knows how to do that, let me know.
Yeah, that won't work, Bill. You're too controversial. They won't monetize you.
They won't. Okay, well,
No.
whatever. They told me I had enough subscribers to be monetized, so they sent me. I don't pay attention to that stuff. I don't understand it. But it's on there. So it's on our website, aosrd.org/webinars, as always. Okay. All of our programs are on there. We've been here for about 2.5 years now, and they're all there, or most of them are there anyway, except for when I had to turn on the recording.
Excellent.
Which I've done a couple times, but like I said, we'll be here again next week, same time, same station. If anybody has anything else want to present, please let me know. We're always happy to have newcomers, and we only fillet the speakers on Thursdays and Fridays, so you're safe on Tuesdays. Okay. And Bob, again, thank you so much for your time and expertise, and please come back. And if you don't mind, if we want, we can put you on our email list. So every once in a while, we're here every Tuesday, 5 p.m. at Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And if if anything new to share, please let us know. We're always happy to be the first in line. And don't worry, I'm getting pretty good at taking fire for everybody. So
Okay.
getting used to it.
Fantastic.
Okay. So
Okay.
with that, anybody else? Any comments? Anything late? So tell me now, Steve. Anything in the latest on the prostate project at all?
Yeah, I'm working on that. I'm piecing together some cases. I need your case as well. You got to send me that,
Okay.
and I'll put together a lecture.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So at that, we'll say good night to everybody, and we'll see you again next week. I'll have this up as soon as I get it ready, and we'll talk to you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night. Good night, John.
Right.